So I will repeat once again, like what are the things we have dealt in previous session. Starting from the project creation, first thing what we have did is in app setting.json, we have added our web config details, right? What are the server details we have? We have added that. Since this was an online server, so I have added IP, my database name, user ID, and the password. Next thing what we have did is we have created a model folder. Inside that, we have created employee DB context. So this is kind of a class which is connected to my database. So here we have inherited that with DB context. For this, we have to add this namespace. Then we have created a constructor. Inside that, we have to just copy paste this thing. Here will be our employee DB context name, means class name, and here also same thing. Then after this, what we have did in startup.cs, we have registered that in the configuration services. So you can see services.add DB context, then our DB context class name. And with that, we have added our connection stream name, which we have added in the app setting.json. So this is the basic thing we had done. After that, we have created models. So models are nothing but just like I told you, like this is a database representation class. Same as of that, these are the classes which represent our tables. So if you see our database, we have two tables, departments and the employees. So we had created two models. So first is the department model. Above class name, we have provided the table name. Then the properties we have. So if we see in the department, let's say design table. So here we can see in this table, we had two columns, department ID and department name. And department ID was primary key and it was identity. So same things we need to specify. So above the department ID, you can see this is primary key and this is identity, right? After creating the model, we have to add this to our database DB context class with the DB set like this. So we had created employee master also and department also, and both we had registered in the DB context class. After that, we had created controllers. In controllers, we have created DB context object like this. And above the route, we had provided our route name. Then we have created get method. Now today we are going to try to write the post API. So post API normally we use to insert data into the table, right? So let's try to write. So okay, so what we have to write, the post method will be HTTP post. After that route, then round bracket, inside double quotes, we have to specify our actual endpoint for the API. So it will be, let's say, create new department. So this will be my actual API name. After that, we have to write the method. So public. Now, if you see about this API was returning list of department. That's why the return type was list of department. But this method is going to return the department model only. So here we can write like this. Then add department round bracket curly bracket. So this is the basic HTTP post method we have written. Now, again, whenever, if you have seen in Angular from the front-end application, whenever we hit post API, so we, along with the URL, we send the object also, right? So we need to catch that object over here. So let's say object which we will be receiving is of department model only. So departments, and it will be object. So for this method, we have one parameter and parameter of type department class. Then now we have a DB context object. So underscore DB dot, in which table we are going to save the record, that is departments dot add. And to add, we have to pass whatever the object we get. Add. After this, again underscore DB dot save changes. So these two lines are responsible to insert whatever the object we get in this object into database table. And simply now it is giving error because we haven't written anything. So let's simply return the model. So return, the return type is departments. So we have to return the object of department class only. So we are getting this parameter over here. Simply we can return it, right? Now, so this is just a basic API. This 2 lines of code is responsible to insert data into the table, right? Now we have created an API, right? But just like in previous session, we can test the GET API by directly hitting it into the browser. But to test the POST API, either we can use the Swagger, but in this project we haven't implemented the Swagger, or we can use Postman, but I haven't installed that also. So we can directly connect this with the Angular application. So I have one project already running. Inside that, in quiz app component, we will try to design a page. Let me just comment out the basic things. Just give me a second. Okay, so now here we will create a basic form. Dot row dot call for, here we will have label, department name, and we need text box. So input placeholder department name. So we have, because if you see the model, what we have, just 2 fields are there in department ID and department name. So normally we don't pass the department ID because this is identity. So whenever we are inserting the data into the table, ID will be automatically saved by the database itself because we have said increment. Okay, so we don't have to send the ID, but we need to send the complete objects. So now in Angular side, first only in the UI, we just need a text box to send the department name. Now we need to create an object. So let's create an object, department obj colon any equal to curly bracket. Now what are the properties we need? Department ID colon 0. Then department name, it will be, let's say, initialized with empty. Now we in Angular side, we have created object with 2 fields, department ID and department name. So now we need to bind this with this text box with ng model round bracket ng model is equal to our object dot our property name, that is department name, right? So this is the first thing, because in this form we just have 1 field, so only 1 text box is there. Then we need to create object of HTTP client. Then let's create a method, save department round bracket curly bracket. So now in this function, we are going to write code to hit our API. So let me just run the project. So we get to know the port number on which our API project is going to run. So till then we can write. So this dot HTTP, now our API call is post. So we have to use post. Now, if you see for the post, we need 2 mandatory parameters. First is the URL and second is the body means object. So URL will be in double quotes, then object. Object will be this dot department object. Then we can write subscribe result. And here we can add a debugger. And this we have to call on the button. So beside this text box, we can add one more button. Let's add a class. So now you will understand like how does, whenever you hit the API, how actually it works. So click our function name, the text, save department. Let's see if it is running. Yeah, so you can see this is my port number. So let me just copy it and paste it over here. So what will be my URL? So first API/department. So it will be API slash department slash actual method name, that is create new department. Right? So now let's check it. So you can see we have got, let me just add a form control class. Let's save and check it again. Let's add a debugger now. Okay, we have already added. So now we have to specify the department name. So let's say plumbing we can try. Okay, before that, let's try that. Like how many records we have, let's try that. So again, department slash get department. So this API is going to return whatever the details we have. So we have the debugger. So let's continue. So if you see, currently we have 4 departments only. Sorry, 5 departments. Right? Now we are trying to insert new record from the UI. So if we, let me just inspect. Do we have we add a debugger? No, let's add the debugger over here. Let's save all. Plumbing. Now, if we click on the save department, so you can see we have got the debugger in this function. Now, if we see the department object, so you can see department ID is 0. And in department name, we have got whatever we have typed into that text box, because that text box is binded to the object with particular property. Now in network, we can see once we continue. Yeah, so we have got course error. Okay, now we have left with the one thing, again, extra thing we have to add. So this is course error. Course means cross origin request services. Means our API, our Angular application is running on localhost 4200, but our API is running on something other port. So this is different application. So to communicate from localhost 4200 to this port, we have to allow it. So for that, we need to install one package, that is course. In just like we add the packages in Angular now, same way we can add the packages in .NET also from npm only. Okay, it's npm is not only a library manager for the Angular, it is for everything. So we have to go to tools. Here you can see NuGet package manager, nothing but npm. So we have to search for it. So second option. Now we have to browse it. So in browse, we have to search course. ASP.NET Core course. So just give me some second. Now let me check the version, what we have to use. So to resolve the course issue, what we have to do to resolve this course issue, what we have to do is in startup.cs in configuration services function, we just need to enable the course like this. So services.add course. Then in services.add course, we can specify particular port number. So let's say currently we are running on localhost 4200. So we can add it with HTTPS also and HTTP also, because someone might run on HTTPS and someone will run on the HTTP. So what are the incoming application? Means this is an API project. So what are the other applications which are going to access this API? Those URL we need to add it over here. So you can see comma separated, we need to add one by one, right? So let's save and run it again. Now our API call should be success. Let it run. Okay, it is running now. Let's reload. Plumbing. Now if we click on save, department object is there. Let's try to continue. Okay, again still we have another by 61334. This is 61334. Correct only. Okay, one more thing is remaining. On the controller level, we need to allow it. So that we do by adding on the controller level. Just a minute. So on the controller level, we need to enable CORS. Let me just stop. So above controller class, we need to write enable CORS. So it will need one namespace. It will come from using Microsoft ASP.NET course. And in this, we need to pass allow origin. So this will allow origin. This is coming from here. Whatever the name we give here now, it will go over here. Now let's save and check. Now it should allow us to connect with this API. Yes, let's try to reload again now. Click on save, continue. So yeah, on network, it is in pending state. Yeah. So here you can see we have got the debugger. Now if we say the object, see, so this is API project and we have got the data from the Angular project, right? So whenever you hit the API now, it is work like this. So whatever the object you said now, we get it here, then we save that object, we do manipulation to that object and then save it to the database. Now let's execute. Yeah. So in object, you can see now ID will be generated, that is 6, and continue. So once we continue it from here now, then you get the subscribe call. See, now whatever the response I have sent in the result, you will get that object. So now you get to know like record is successfully inserted. Now let's try the get API. That is departments get API. Continue. So now you can see plumbing is there, right? So let's try to this why, because rather than seeing that in the browser, we can display this data into our Angular application also. So load department. This is the function I'm creating. In this, again, we have to make this .http.get API call. First API we are trying to integrate over here. So the API URL is this. Let's copy, let's paste it over here, then subscribe call. Round bracket result equal to, we need to create an array, departments colon any, array is equal to empty. Whatever the response we get, that we will store it in this variable. So this dot department is equal to res. Whatever the response this API returns, we are storing this. Okay, so now here we need to specify object data type, response data type. So result colon any, right? So you can see now error is gone. Now we need to call this function on the page load. So we can call that in the ng on init. And we will show this record in the ULLI for now because we don't have that much records. So we will just show that call for UL inside LI. And on LI, we will use our for loop star ng for equal to let dept of departments. And inside it, we will print our department name. So dept will be objects. So dept dot department name we are going to show. So department name. And once again thing, if we save, after that we need to refresh the list. So in the subscribe call, again we will call this API. So let's save. Now I'm going to remove the debugger from here, otherwise we will get that debugger. So now let's check the actual process. So you can see 1 2 3. Let's add the index also. So after for loop semicolon let index is equal to index, then we will print it before this index plus 1, because indexing will start from 0. So we just have to add 1 over there. Now let's check. So currently we have 6 records. So if you see network call on the page load, we are making one API call. See, get department. Whatever the response we have got, that we have stored into that variable, and that same we are displaying over here. Now let's try to make one more API call. Let's try to insert one more record. So let's say lead or telecalling. Okay, now if we click on the save department, let me clear this. Now we will have 2 call, because first API call will be on this button click, we will call this API. But in this API call, once we get the response, again we are making the get department call. So now if you see save department, so see, first save department API call is there, after that get department call, and the latest record you can see it over here. So now this is what we have done. We have inserted the data into the table and we have retrieved the data also. So this is how your actual process works whenever you hit any API from your Angular side. Request goes, we perform the operation, insert the data into the table, we send the response back, and in the save subscribe call, you again make the API call of get all, means to fetch the updated record. And then it get visible in your table or ULLI, anywhere, whatever, wherever you show. So this is the complete life cycle. So with this just 2 lines of code, we can insert the record into the particular table. It is as much as easy it is. So you just have to copy paste, remember the code, what things you have to do. That's it. So this is for department. Same thing if we have to write for employee. Let's write for employee now. So employee code will be in the employee controller. Same thing. So again, HTTP post will be there. Route name, round bracket, double quotes. Let's say add EMP, then public. The model we will be returning is employee master only. Add employee, round bracket, curly bracket, and inside round bracket, we are going to get the object of type employee master. So obj. This is your variable name. You can give it anything, or let's say EMP obj, anything you can give. This is just a class name, but this is the name you are giving. So anything you can give. Then underscore DB dot. Now we have to store the data into employee master. So employee master in the department controller, we have to store the data into the department master. So we have used department master, but in case of employee, it is employee master dot add round bracket, and we have to pass the object, that is EMP object. After that, DB dot save changes, and we have to return the model EMP object. That's it. Same thing. And one more thing, that course thing, we need to add it in the all the controller. That's it. So this is save API for the add employee. This was save employee for the department. So same way we write multiple CRUD operation. So what till now what we have seen the get API and the post API. With the post API, we insert the data into the table. Is here we have to write HTTP post, because since this is an HTTP post API, and post API, it will have objects. So we have added a parameter over here. With parameter, the data, whatever the data we will be getting from the front end side, it is of type departments. So that's why we have to add the class name over here. That's it. So with these are the 2 lines responsible to insert the data. That's it.